and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by 3Chi and Barstool Sports. I am your host, Robbie Fox. With me is my co-host, Clem, and we have got a stacked show today. Not only are we going to recap episode 3 of Marvel's What If, we're going to talk about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer because it's finally here. After all this time, we've waited so long. I think it's something like 110 days till the movie comes out or something, 115. And I don't think a Marvel trailer has ever dropped so close to the movie actually coming out. Aside from the Incredible Hulk, the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk movie, I think there was a 90-day period, but it wasn't like there was crazy anticipation for that, you know?
You could have told me that Incredible Hulk didn't have a trailer, I believe, because I didn't see either of the Incredible Hulk movies. It's just kind of like a dark stage. Marvel was what it is now. Didn't really have time back then, and yeah. So, and our guy Liam from the Direct, he said like usually like some trailers come out like a year ahead of time, right? Bob Fox is crying for a Star Wars movie that isn't even done editing at that point. You know, it's so far in the future. So this is kind of like you got it, and now we're going on a sprint to the finish line. And the way the world works now with spoilers or, you know, finding out which casting guys in there from some random tweet, what the toys look like to figure out plot points and stuff like that. It's a truly different world. So I'm kind of happy. Feels like the biggest non-Avengers movie that we're going to have for a while here, just because Spider-Man is so big and there is so much stuff that I think can be brought in multiverse wise, and we're hitting some of the old and it's going to affect a lot of the new in terms of the future. So a lot of stuff to cover, Bob. We are excited right now.
I'm so excited. I agree with your statement there too about this being the biggest non-Avengers movie. It might be the biggest non-Avengers movie in the history of the MCU. Like when we look at this, how could it not be $1 billion movie when, you know, basically me and Hubs were calling it the worst kept secret in Hollywood that they're bringing in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Obviously, in this trailer, they show us Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. We can get right into the trailer. Let's just break the trailer down and then we'll get into What If after this, because What If was a good episode this week. It wasn't mind-blowing. It wasn't, I didn't think it was horrible, but it was like me and Clem just talked about a little before we started. There's not much to recap about it. You know, a few things happened and it was what it was, but it wasn't like something that we could really dive deep into.
It was very much, it wasn't even a what if, because it was like, oh, this is something that happened. This is something that was the episode. It wasn't a what if, because I feel like we didn't get like the long-term ramifications of a couple of things that happened. It was like, oh, this is happening and there's your story. And it did feel kind of weird, which again is perfect because we have a whole bunch of Spidey to get through. So it ended up being a perfect like way it over, perfect timing. And again, I think we're always pretty honest about this stuff. I go 2, 1, 3 in terms of my favorite What If episodes. Guardians is my favorite, followed by the Cap one, which both had big ramifications of like the MCU. And this one's kind of like, oh, that's an interesting little story we just told in 30 minutes. So
I think I would probably go 2, 3, 1. I think I actually might have liked this better than the Cap one. I know that's unlike me because I'm supposed to be the Cap guy, but it's currently I'm on such a murder mystery kick. Like I keep watching the Knives Out type, the White Lotus type. I just watched what was the Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon, Big Little Lies. That was a good one. So I'm on such a murder mystery kick that having a little bit of a cartoon murder mystery here, I was very into it. But I do agree that it was a level below last week's. Last week's was like mind blowing for me in a bunch of different ways. This one was just an enjoyable 30 minutes.
And we got an enjoyable, 2 minutes of this trailer that has been picked apart 1,000 times. Everyone wanted this like the next day. It was like, guys, we have to wait. Bob wasn't feeling good too. And was like,
I know we did try to get this early, and then I was like on my way to the office and I had like an acid reflux attack from hell. So I apologize for everybody. But as I've said before, I have as many issues as it looks like I have. It is what it is. It's part of being in my mom's basement. It's part of being the nerds here at Barstool. I'm very authentic to that.
He's a frail boy. Just let him be. He's a frail boy. We love our Robbie Fox, but he's a frail boy. Even with, the tattoos and, whatever he's doing to get into the octagon, he's still a frail boy at heart. So the nerds may rule the world, but we're doing it sneezing and coughing and hurting the entire time.
Exactly. Let's get into this trailer. We kick off with Peter and MJ on a rooftop. They're reading tabloids and newspapers about Spider-Man. It appears this movie is going to pick up exactly where the last movie left off. Right as Peter Parker got his identity revealed to the world, he'll swing into Times Square with Mary Jane. We see J. Jonah Jameson is all over the Times Square screens. He's saying, yes, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He is the menace who killed Mysterio. And we see that he's actually going to have to fight against this case of being the murder of Quentin Beck Mysterio because he framed him in that video. Now, there's a lot of rumors saying, hey, could they bring in Charlie Cox to play Matt Murdock? He's the guy that played Matt Murdock Daredevil in the Netflix series. A lot of people loved that. You and I have to get into that because people always tweet us. They tell us it's amazing. We haven't gotten into it. I watched some of the first season, but and I liked it, but I just fell off. It would be very cool if we get a little cameo from a lawyer here, being Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock, to defend our guy Peter Parker. I will say this: I've seen some of the merchandise for this movie has like I believe in Mysterio, like Mysterio, whatever.
Oh.
I think they're trying to make him like the QAnon of the Marvel universe.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You know what? Like, I mean, let's just, nothing's reality is stranger than fiction right now. It's like, they might as well just like embrace it, steer into it. This is the world we're living in. I actually, at Yeoman's Play, he hit me up and was like, hey, is there a reason you guys, like, I know you're a dad and you're busy and shit like that, but is there a reason you haven't, done the Daredevil? I loved it. And I was like, honestly, it's just one of those things I really don't have the time. But if this whole, and he says it's awesome, and I've heard a bunch of people say they love it. If Daredevil is going to play a part in this, I'm going to have to go back and watch it, just like I did with Guardian, all the stuff I had to watch after Infinity War, and just to kind of get, a refresher and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, shit, like Daredevil is an important character. Now we can really start bringing all these different characters in and get them cooking. I'm stoked about that. By the way, J. Jonah Jameson, what a motherfucker. Like, that kind of gets lost in the shuffle, is that when he fucking exposes Peter Parker, such a ruthless villain move that you have to fucking kind of respect it. It's such a dickhead kind of thing. Cause again, it's always these levels of great where he truly thinks Spider-Man's kind of a dick. Plus it's like Dave with Goodell, right? It's like, he knows what gets the clicks. He knows it gets the people going, and he's just going to pick on those little strings. He's a nuisance. He's a menace to the city. If I'm Peter Parker, I'm like, yo, remember that dude that snapped away half of the fucking universe, including myself? I helped fucking wipe him off the universe. I wiped him off the map. You guys have to stop calling me a menace. I helped you guys. I'm part of the Avengers. Tony Stark handpicked me as like the next him. Don't call me an enemy just because some fucking dude with green smoke says I'm a bad guy. What the fuck is going on? And the thing is, like you said, the world we live in, no one really thinks like that. Everyone just goes viral. They're arguing with each other. So this would really happen in real life. Is like rational people would be like, no, Peter Parker's like a friend. And then people would be like, well, Mephisto. And they'd have all the stuff like that. So I'm interested to see how that all plays out on the big screen.
And someone tweeted us. I don't have their name. I wish I did. But if you're listening, this was a great tweet. They said, is J. Jonah Jameson a Nexus being that J.K. Simmons played him in both universes? He might be. It might be him and Wanda. Those are the two most powerful beings in the universe.
Oh,
man. So Peter Parker goes to Doctor Strange for help. He goes to the Sanctum Sanctorum. It's covered in snow. I don't know why. And Doctor Strange is wearing a really cool, like winter jacket of his own cape. Pretty sweet. He is very, very, very sus, though. We got to put it out there right on Front Street. Everyone was tweeting us right after the trailer. How sus was Doctor Strange? Very weird that he just looks at Peter. He gives him that wink, and he's like, I'll do the spell, even though Wong told me I shouldn't. And he does the spell where it'll undo the whole Mysterio reveal. He'll say, nobody will know that you're Spider-Man. But then Peter Parker's like, wait, what about MJ? What about Ned? What about my Aunt May? Like, can they know I'm Spider-Man? Messes up the spell, which we can get into in a second, but I don't think that's what messes up the spell.
Yep.
And he does it anyway. It fucks up. And then I assume that's what folds in all these villains, potentially Spider-Man in this movie as well. Some people said, whoa, that would mess up his spell, that just someone talking in the middle of it. I think maybe it'll get revealed further down the line that like Sylvie fucking stabbed He Who Remains at the time of the spell, or he was trying to spell after that happened. So I think it was something more catastrophic and more overall to the universe that happened there, just coincidentally at the same time.
Yeah, so the Susser Supreme, that's what he's going to be known as for the rest of this podcast.
The Susser Supreme.
Sus as fuck right now. Because, I mean, it's like either he's sus, there's something up with him, or we're just fucked. Because listen, Doctor Strange is going to play a massive role in this phase. I think that's pretty clear based on all the projects we know that he's tied to, which makes sense because Doctor Strange is like a huge part of Marvel, which is why I'm so like thrilled we have such a great actor who just crushes that role. Yeah. And the fact he's going to be touching on stuff. if he can't cast a fucking amnesia spell, Wanda is going to fucking destroy him. She's what's the name of the Darkhold? She's fucking reading that shit. She has that shit on like Kindle, Audible. She has her kids chirping in her ear, and she's like not even herself. She's in that like separate being. She's getting her powers. She is going to mop the floor with fucking Doctor Strange. And that the Winter Sanctum was definitely weird. It's like, have they just not fixed the roof? Is it just kind of like a bunch of college kids? 5 years
burst in there. What are we talking about, guys?
But then I'm my dumb broken brain. I'm thinking Game of Thrones. Is this some sort of like King's Landing? It's not really snow. It's fucking ash or whatever. Because that was, again, this isn't Space Jam. We're not dealing with a bunch of different movies coming into the same spot. But then I can't believe we're at this point. I can't believe Bob Fox.
You're saying
there's Mephisto? There's Mephisto talk. There's Mephisto talk. So
I know
this is it. I got this guy, Adam Barnhart. He had broke it down. In Dante's Inferno, Satan is portrayed as a giant demon frozen mid-breast ice at the center of hell. They talk about that, and then obviously the Sanctum is all snowy. And then you have these different. There's a Spider-Man arc where he basically asks to wipe the memory of him as Peter Parker being known, and I think someone with him and Mary Jane getting married, and it's through Mephisto is where this all happens. So all roads lead back to Mephisto, as always, Bob Fox. I can't believe we're back here now in a completely different story, in a completely different studio, and fucking Mephisto, who has still not revealed himself in the MCU and may never do it, is back on everyone's fucking lips again.
I can't believe it either. We do see later in the trailer Doctor Strange and Peter Parker potentially fighting on a train, and it's really trippy, kind of that Doctor Strange visual effect style. We see New York tripping in on itself. We see Doctor Strange like hit Peter Parker's soul out of the Spider-Man costume, similar to what we've seen in Doctor Strange and even Avengers Endgame with Smart Hulk and when he goes to New York. I do want to bring this up. We've heard that the Doctor Strange episode of What If is going to be one of the most mind-blowing ever. The creators of What If were like, you're not going to believe what we do in this episode. He appears to fight a dark, strange version of himself in this episode. Is it potentially going to reveal that like the Dark Strange won, and then that's the Strange that cast the spell here, and it's all connected to What If, and that's why our minds are going to be blown because they're weaving it all in there? I don't know, but I just want to bring that up.
Ooh, that's a good point, because there's probably some weird Doctor Stranges bopping around because he's not he's the Sorcerer Supreme. Again, that's the other thing. He's the Sorcerer Supreme, not the source of very fucking good. Like, there's no way he's fucking up a spell, because like my guy Dave said, he's like, Peter's talking in his backswing as he's casting his magic. Like, that's a bad look. You can't get the Sorcerer Supreme if you can't have a guy chirping in your ear. I kind of like that, because the other thing that a lot of people are saying is like, what if it's a scroll? And I don't know enough about my scroll and Kree stuff. Can scrolls like cast fucking magic by becoming Doctor? It seems a little like absurd.
Would Wong not be onto that?
Yeah, it's true too. And by the way, Wong is like, don't cast that spell as he's carrying his luggage through his little portal. And it's like, yep, he goes and casts the spell. By the way, this is a tough look for Wong. Wong, I know you have magic. I know you can do whatever you want. You got to get suitcases with wheels. If you have a suitcase without wheels, I just think you're a dumb person. We live in the fucking 21st century. I've had wheels on my luggage for my entire adult life. Even though you can carry your suitcases, you don't have to in this day and age. That was a tough look for them.
He's a cheap guy. He's even in Infinity War. He's trying to get Doctor Strange to pay for sandwiches.
That's true. That is a good point. That's probably why he was so pissed about, that's why he was so excited about going to Tony Stark's wedding. He's like, free meal. I get a free meal out of it.
And that's why he hasn't fixed the roof.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, don't worry, Tony. I got the gift. I forgot it at home. I left the check in, on my dresser. It's all right, man. I got you.
He just brings one of the vases from the Sanctum. He's like, here you go. There's a lot, I promise. We do see lightning, which I assume would be for Electro. We see a very dark creature in a cage, which we assume is Lizard. We see the Goblin Bomb and hear Willem Dafoe's laugh. And finally, we get a huge overall glimpse of Doc Ock, Alfred Molina, back with the claws on his back. I tweeted this to you, Clem, but Tobey Maguire and his Spider-Man movies were truly such a big part of my childhood because of the wrestling scene with Bonesaw, because of the timing that they came out. I was 3 years old when the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie came out, and I was 5 when the Alfred Molina movie came out. I remember seeing Spider-Man 2 in theaters, having the video game, and just being like, this is the greatest superhero movie of all time. Like the Nolan Batman movies hadn't happened at that point. We didn't have this new explosion. The fact that he is back as Doc Ock is mind blowing to me. And the fact that we are 99.999% going to see Tobey Maguire back in the Spider-Man suit, it's going to blow my mind in that theater even more. I can't wait.
Yeah, and do you think that he's talking to Tobey Maguire when he says hi, Peter? Because your brain says Tom Holland, but then you think about it, you're like, no, you're like, I guess he could know that it's, or he could just be Spider-Man in the suit, right? He still knows it's Peter Parker or something like that. It's Tom Holland.
I think it could be Tobey. Like that could be like them reuniting after Tobey was sort of the reason he died, even though he tried to save him a little bit. Like I feel like that could be a hello, Peter. Like I'm fucking back, and Tobey Maguire's like, what the fuck is going on right now? People have noticed there is a woman in a car that pulls up to Peter Parker during this trailer. It's like one of the first scenes they show, and the woman is clearly superimposed into that shot. So I think it's just for the trailer. They're putting her over someone else.
I
So it's
like that.
man, they're hiding a lot. Who knows? This whole trailer might be fake. And by the way, did you catch the little shout out to me? I think Kevin Feige threw a little shout out to me in this.
Is it the tweet, the Spider-Man movie tweet?
No, it's the cup that Doctor Strange is holding. He's holding a coffee mug that says, "Oh, for Fox's sake."
Wow. All right, Feige, you're a basement boy. We've talked about this. Again, Kevin, we appreciate the first two what ifs being around our two franchises. So, to put the cap back to you, my friend, we will see this movie in theaters to help support you. That's what we're going to do for you, Kevin. I thought you were talking about this at Spider-Man movie. You saw that tweet that they had?
When they were like, here's the HD one.
They said, shout out to the real ones who are watching the trailer for the first time right now, the night it was released. Hey, at Spider-Man movie. The real ones, the real ones are the ones
themselves.
I couldn't fucking see. It was being recorded off a phone of someone else's phone. I couldn't see what was going on. I could barely see what's going on as an old man right now. I'm looking at it with like Vaseline on it. People are trying to like stabilize it and putting captions on. The truest of diehards saw that trailer a day ahead, completely ruined all the reveals the day before. Yep. I just did it because I had to blog it. And I said in the blog, I was like, listen, I can't see what's going on. Robbie has younger eyes than me, and I know he's not going to watch some shitty trailer recorded off someone's phone. But I kind of like the idea of it. I was like, maybe Feige released this, and it was his like way of saying this is the multiverse. We have different trailers off of phones being recorded. So at Spider-Man movie, go fuck yourself. It's a Sony account, I bet. It's a Sony account. So I'm not even going to yell at Marvel. That's a Sony move right there. Don't you tell me.
Listen, it's I'm like not what we talked about with Waldron, him watching the pay-per-views through scrambled television. Like we had to watch that trailer through the scrambled blurriness just because we needed to know what was happening. We could not help ourselves. We're the real ones.
And that Waldron motherfucker, did you see that tweet?
Which one?
He tweeted out a picture of Doctor Strange winking, and I'm like, what do you know, Waldron?
Yeah. I saw.
What do you know on that whiteboard?
Like, I know everything. Yeah. I saw rumors the other day that they're bringing in Fox characters into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And I was like, oh, does that mean the fucking X-Men? And Waldron has known it all along. He's just been watching us, like fucking with us, being like, I know the fucking X-Men are back. I brought it back, and these two idiots don't even know it yet.
That son of a bitch. And I can't believe, I know I tweeted the other day. We had Waldron on the podcast, and I didn't ask him about the Thanos copter. I mean, just an all-time whiff by your pal Clem right here. So the Sinister Six, right? We're thinking that's what's going to kind of come out of this. Maybe they don't unite and fucking get t-shirts made for everyone that says Sinister Six on it.
They might.
Who would be the guy who organizes that for the Sinister Six? Is that a Defoe thing? Is that
Defoe puts it down to James Franco?
Okay, so who are the six? Who do we think the six are? So we kind of went through it. It's Lizard, Electro, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and then are there two more that are kind of in the air? Like obviously Sandman has revealed himself in an old movie,
and people think there was kind of a smoky thing in one of the scenes here that people thought might have been Sandman. So I think it might be Sandman. He's a recognizable one for sure as well.
Hobgoblin. I don't think Franco's coming in again. People have asked that. I don't think
Marvel's gonna fuck with him right now. Yeah. Even Seth Rogen's like, I don't fuck with that guy.
Yeah, but Seth Rogen's not fucking with you. You really fucked up. But like Disney is probably like definitely be like, yeah, no. Marvel as like just being the people that are helping Sony not fuck this all up is gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna pass on any James Franco references in the movie. So then it kind of becomes
Rhino from Spider-Man 3, Paul Giamatti.
I was thinking. I can fuck with that. I was thinking, is Venom like, because I know they moved the movie back. Could that be all part of it?
Pretty shocking. Like that would certainly be something nobody would see coming.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, like, Kevin Feige wants to confuse and mend the universes. Because I even
Yeah,
said to
it's a
you,
lot.
I could see at the end of this movie having sort of an Into the Spider-Verse ending where like the other Spider-Men have to go back into their multiverse, and then Sony being like, all right, we're doing Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies again, because Marvel was able to like kickstart those for us and put them back in their own universe, where maybe Marvel would be like, all right, we brought them back. Now you play with those, and we'll keep Tom Holland's.
And so you get the new toys and you give your younger, well, you are the younger sibling. You know how it was. The younger siblings
Yeah.
got the old toys, and like we get the new shiny ones. So that's exactly how it's going to go. Now, this is going to be a problem for me. I'm going to go back and obviously take care of it before December hits. I have no clue about the Andrew Garfield movies. I was very much like hashtag my Spider-Man was Tobey Maguire, so I refused to see him. Then the reviews came out and they were lukewarm. Well, all right. What would you, for someone like me and for anyone else listening who has not watched the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, what fast food item would you consider the Andrew Garfield movies
What
in
fast
terms of
food
quality?
item? Yeah,
In
yeah,
terms
yeah.
of quality. So like
I got
McDonald's
you.
fries is like, oh shit, we're talking Avengers right there, or we're talking fillet of fish or something like that. Oh.
Maybe like a soggy soft taco from Taco Bell, where you're like, this could have been a lot better. You're like,
Mhm.
I know the potential that this taco has, and it could have been better. It's still edible. The first one is very edible. You could put it down. Andrew Garfield is a much better Spider-Man than his Spider-Man movies are. And even Gwen Stacy, they do instead of Mary Jane. So you get a different story there.
I like that.
And Emma Stone is really good as Gwen Stacy as well. So like the cast is really good. The movies themselves, the second one is pretty bad. The second one is like, you know what? I can't finish this taco. I'm gonna put this down, and we'll fucking try again tomorrow. The first one you could get through. CGI is kind of weird. Stan Lee has a great cameo in the first one, and the CGI is pretty fucking horrible in the second. So they're
Mm.
gonna have to fix Jamie Foxx's character design. I think before this one, they made him like a weird blue
Did not like
glowing.
that.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't look good. Even the Goblin design was horrible in the second one, but they have their moments, they have their elements where they're good. And I think the fact that Andrew Garfield was the shining star of them, where you're like, damn, he was a pretty good Peter Parker, bodes well for this movie because, all right, now you put him in the hands of someone that can actually write a good Peter Parker. And I think we're in for a good ride there.
See, that's what concerned me. And by the way, we're saying the first one is like a soggy Doritos taco, and the second one's just a plain taco too, because like Doritos always
Yeah,
gives like
yeah,
a
yeah.
little extra bump.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield, and I was talking to Hubs about this. Hubs, low key, like diehard Marvel guy too. Like he
Yep.
loves this shit. I remember we did, I think, Infinity War. We talked about him at the old office. As someone from the outside, I was always like, what's his name? Andrew Garfield in Social Network. Like he was too cool. I need like the
Yeah.
Zuckerberg to be Peter Parker, the nerdy guy who's kind of awkward. And I always
That
felt
was
like
the thing. This Peter Parker is very cool.
he's
Andrew
very
Garfield,
cool.
Peter Parker, super cool. You can't see him getting bullied in high school. You're like, that kid get bullied? He's pretty fucking cool.
I
He should
want
probably
that
get
guy
all
to
the
have sex
chicks.
with my girlfriend. Like he's
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
that guy. Okay, so that's good to know. We have
And
some
Tom
CGI.
Holland plays it so well. It's like credit to him. Tom Holland's like a rocket ship smoke show, but he still plays it believably. Where you're like, yeah, I could see Flash like shoving him in a locker.
Exactly. All right, man. So I think we got a lot to, and again, I think especially people that grew up with this stuff, like you came of age and you're getting all that Spider-Man stuff. I think this is gonna hit like especially good for people like you who I didn't have fucking any of this stuff as a kid. I had shitty He-Man and He-Man movies that we talked about with Large.
All right, before we get into what if, let me tell everyone about one of our sponsors, one of my favorite sponsors in the world, Bare Bottom Clothing. Bare Bottom Clothing is going to be vital for you before your next trip. You want to pack up this suitcase full of Bare Bottom because it's the most comfortable, versatile clothes on the entire market. Don't get caught with shorts below the knee. With their 5.5 and 7-inch inseam styles, Bare Bottom has your summer covered. Even if you're going into the fall, don't give up on the summer right now. For the rest of September, it's still going to be nice weather. I'm going to try to get like another beach day in September. That's how much I'm not giving up on the summer. Everything is built for value here. You're getting the softest and stretchiest clothes in the game for a fraction of what you have to spend with the other guys. And giving back is at the core of what Bare Bottom does. So for every item sold, they will donate a school lunch to a child in need. If you go to barebottomclothing.com and use the code BASEMENT, you will get free shipping on your first order. That is bear like the animal, BEAR, bottomclothing.com, and then use the promo code basement. I love this stuff. They have great joggers, they have great shorts, great shirts. Bare Bottom, I swear by it. Thank you for sponsoring the pod. And you ready to get into what if now?
Yeah, let's get into. Actually, you know what? I have a question for you. I have a Spider-Man question I forgot to ask.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything you want to see in the new Spider? Is there anything from the multiverses coming in that you want to see in particular? One thing, two things, whatever.
That's a great question. You know what it is? And I've seen it teased before, and it's sort of a specific thing that I could see happening. I would love for Tobey Maguire to say to Tom Holland, with great power comes great responsibility.
Okay.
I know it's such a corny thing. That, and you know what else I would love is by the end of this movie, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire go off to their multiverses or a similar multiverse, and then Tom Holland is introduced to a young boy, and he like bumps into him, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're Spider-Man," and he's like, "Yeah, what's your name?" He's like, "Miles." And then in Spider-Man 4, we get to see like an older brother, younger brother, Tom Holland imparting everything Tony Stark taught him onto
Mm,
Miles Morales. I think that would be amazing. And it would also give us a completely fresh story for Spider-Man 4. You know, like how can you not repeat things? Introduce Miles Morales and make Tom Holland the one that's no longer the trainee. He's the trainer.
I like that. So we're doing like at the end of these move at the end of this movie, we're kind of planting those seeds, and then we can fuck the plant. The plants we never got to fucking WandaVision. We thought we were gonna fuck them. We did not get to fuck them. Okay, I like that a lot. The one Martin Banks hit us up, them doing the they meet and they do the Spider-Man meme. They point at each other.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
That's internet. That's like Twitter, like, supercharged fuel right there. You can just use that for the rest of the time. I kind of want to see the emo Tobey Maguire because it was such like a ridiculous little story.
Did you see the photoshops with like all three of them doing the dance, the emo dance?
No, I didn't see that.
It's fun. I'll send it to you. It's funny.
That's incredible. And then the last one I thought of, give me Kirsten Dunst, except she's the kid from Jumanji, and you think it's her. It's not Mary Jane. It's the kid from Jumanji. I don't know. Jumanji was on my head this week for some reason.
I was thinking if she's not in the movie, they might do a Peter B. Parker storyline where he's like, yeah, like I lost her. What a shame. And he's got a picture of them together or something. You know what I mean?
Or just like 7 Uncle Ben's dying. We just keep seeing Uncle Ben's death over and over again.
Imagine we see Nicolas Cage as Spider Noir. They bring him in. They're like, fuck it. We're doing it all.
Hit every single Spider-Man reference you guys can find, movie, TV shows, comic books, things on a napkin, anything it takes. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I have no, like, if Marvel wasn't involved, I'd be worried. I feel like this is in great hands right now. So we'll see. Famous last words.
What if they even make a Macho Man reference where they're like sitting on the couch and a commercial comes on and Peter Parker's like, oh, I love Macho Man. And then Tobey Maguire's like, you mean Bonesaw? Is that Bonesaw?
I fucking love that guy.
All right. So what if episode 3, this was Fury's big week. We got Samuel L. Jackson doing the voice of Nick Fury. That's enough to carry us through the episode in and of itself, just having him there. And we kick off with Tony Stark, your guy getting killed. And I kind of like chuckled to myself in the first 2 seconds of this episode. It's like, oh, damn, fucking Clem's guy's gone immediately. Like they introduce him. They're like, hey, remember Iron Man 2? He's sitting by the donut. You're like, oh, this is awesome. They give him the little shot, him and Natasha. And then Tony Stark is just dead.
It's like, oh, there's my guy. Oh yeah, you got rubber down his voice. This is great. Boom, gone. Now the one thing that made it feel better is that Morgan Stark isn't alive in this world, so she doesn't lose a father again. So that's what made me feel all right. I have to say they set the tone though on this. TV-14. Did you see the rating? I was like, whoa, I didn't even know that was even allowed in like the MCU in a cartoon, no less. So I was shocked, and I was like, fuck it. The kids were in the room. I'm like, we're watching this together. You can watch your most beloved superheroes getting murdered in cold blood. So that was a trip. And I loved, and I think this was in the beginning before Stark, the days, Monday. Boom. It was like the old school vibe, the Avengers vibe of that all.
Well, it is because we know that the original Hulk, the original Thor, and Iron Man 2 in the MCU canon all do take place within 1 week, which is kind of a cool Fury's big week, I think was the name of this episode. Or it was what if the Earth didn't have its mightiest heroes, but that was the subcaption or whatever. They look into it and they realize the vaccine wasn't actually what killed Stark, though. It was a projectile going through it. So they tease the murder mystery already with like, that's a little strange. What do you mean a projectile going through it? Like there was a gun in there. You don't know what you're thinking about yet, but we find out later. It might be something very, very small going through there.
Is this an anti-vax episode by Disney? Are they parting it? We're not going to touch anti-vax jokes right now. I'm not going anywhere near that. By the way, what if I just thought of? Oh, you know what? I just thought of a great what if. I'm going to hold that one. Wow.
Hold it for the what ifs.
Yeah.
So they look into it. As they're looking into it, we see Thor comes down to Earth. He starts, knocking off S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. I think they sort of play it in the beginning, like, could this be the villain? They're like, I've got eyes on the subject. And as soon as Thor goes to grab Mjolnir, Hawkeye is there waiting with an arrow, and he slips and he lets it go. But he swears, he's like, I didn't let it go. Sticks into Thor's chest. I was stunned that the arrow was like strong enough to pierce his skin, the Asgardian skin or whatever. I guess Hawkeye's working with the right stuff, huh?
Yeah, Hawkeye, he goes the premium arrows. He doesn't go to like the Amazon Select, or what is it, the Amazon brand? Like
Amazon
he
Prime.
gets Duracell batteries. He doesn't get, Kirkland from My Beloved Costco. He gets the good shit of arrows. And I was thinking the same
Thor.
thing though.
Killed him like that.
Just fucking dead. Thor just done so. Like,
Yeah.
how many things have attacked Thor, like mythical weapons, and it doesn't fucking kill him? Yet a Hawkeye arrow. I kind of love that Black Widow and Hawkeye killed like our beloved Avengers, because like I was like, yeah, fuck them anyway. Like, and again, I'll watch the Vormir scene from Endgame and I'll fall in love with them because that was such an awesome scene. But then when I'm watching them, like, yeah, these guys fucking sucked anyway. They almost got these guys killed 100 times by being the lackeys, like the last guys off the bench or in the starting lineup, I should say, of the Avengers. So it was kind of perfect.
Episode, it's like if you gave them action figures of the Avengers and you were like, you tell a story, they were like, oh, we'll fucking kill it. Yeah, we kill the Avengers. How about that? What do you think of that this time? And a third Avenger is killed, and this one is the gnarliest one in my opinion. It's the Incredible Hulk. So Natasha goes, she meets up with Ross's daughter at the college from Incredible Hulk, and Ross even comes in. He's like, I've got you guys surrounded. He wants to get the Hulk, and then a shot is fired, but it wasn't the Ross. He's like, who fucking fired that shot? Hits Hulk. He turns into Hulk. Banner turns into the actual Hulk. And man, he starts fucking people up until he just grows and grows and grows and inflates to the point where he pops. And it's like, what the fuck? They just fucking blew up the Hulk from the inside. We don't find out what happened till later, but the concept of someone going in using the little Ant-Man, like, I don't know, size machine that makes things so much bigger when you throw it on his fucking Hulk cells. Who thought of that? Who was on the 3G when they thought of that? Because it's a brilliant concept.
That was some dark shit too. I'm like, man, you just blew the Hulk up. You popped him. You popped
the
Hulk
inside.
But that again, when you find out what happens, obviously, you're like, whoever thought of that must have been smart. It's like, well, we can't really, kill the Hulk the old-fashioned way because he's so big. But if we make him bigger, it's kind of like when they figure out how to destroy the asteroid in Armageddon. It's like, oh, that makes sense. You would be like a hand and it explodes, and you have more meteors and stuff like that. So, yeah, some dark shit. And that was the other thing I got from this What If. I think for future cartoons, TV shows, whatever it may be, I like that we can easily have the Hulk as a character. I think having him in the movies, he's A, indestructible, which kind of just fucks everything. You have to nerf him. Or B, it's like you could just have it without spending $1 zillion in CGI to have it. It's just a cartoon. He's like everyone else. I want to see more Hulk because I feel like we were kind of robbed of that in the recent years, right? It's like Adam and Ragnarok, which was awesome. But in both, you didn't really, even in Endgame, you don't really see him fighting at all. And then you don't see him at all in Infinity where you see him with the suit on. So
She-Hulk will probably get a lot more of him.
That's true. That's a good point. The What's in the Box, Samuel L. Jackson, that was a Seven reference, right? That had
to be right. As soon as he said that, I thought the exact same thing. Loki comes down to avenge Thor. He gives Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, gives him, I think, 24 hours. He's like, until the sun rises on Midgard once again, find out who did this. And they find out through the video footage of Natasha saying, it's all about hope. It's all about hope. He puts it together, and we found out earlier in the episode that in this universe, the Winter Soldier is at least alluded to have killed Hope. So that's kind of a cool, like, little thing there. And we find out it's Hank Pym. He's a crazy Hank Pym. Michael Douglas, like, looking all fucking, his eyes are like zonked out, his hair is messed up. He does the voice for it. He kind of looks like Yellow Jacket. They meet in this graveyard where Hope's grave is, and he's tricked by Loki and Fury. Fury went to an ice giant to enlist Loki's help. They do kind of a Doctor Strange type thing where they make 1,000 different Furies, 1,000 different Lokis. They mess with him. They take him in there to give him to Loki. And then because so many Avengers are dead, they have kind of like a bittersweet ending where they're like, it's a shame the Avengers never got to show the world what they were made of. And they discover Captain America's shield in the ice. My guy gets to survive after all. And Captain Marvel shows up because we teased the beeper earlier on. And she shows up at the very end like, hey, what are we doing? So I assume in this universe, the Avengers will kick off with the two captains, Marvel and America, under Nick Fury's power.
Oh, you're going to do the after credit scene?
Is there really an after credit scene?
You didn't see it?
No.
Yeah, Captain Marvel and Captain America, they're like the Avengers. They lead the team and they get absolutely just fucking waxed by everybody. All the
You're
villains
fucking with
destroy them.
me.
And they're like, you don't have fucking Iron Man, the brains of the operation, basically the entire fucking thing. You're
got me.
toast without him and Thor. You're done. So it's the captains. They can't do shit. That was good.
I was like, I really didn't check an after credit scene for this one. What a dope.
I didn't either. So there might be one everyone's like, hey, there really was one. So I had to just, throw that one at you because I'm like, come on, there's no Tony, there's no Thor, there's no Hulk. These guys are fucking
You got
good.
me with that one.
You got a really good leader, and you have you do have like a cheat code in Captain Marvel. So I'm sure they'll be all right in the long run. Is anyone having a better 2021 than our boy Loki right now?
No.
He rules Earth at the end.
Like a good guy in this one at the end of this. Yeah.
He's a good guy. He comes, he saves the day, and he kind of he has like that Loki vibe to him. He's feeling himself. I loved Fury going Morpheus, where he's just like dodging the punches, or I guess it's Loki, whatever you want to call it. And I love the Destroyer, the giant guy that Fury talks to. That was, again, I wish we could get a redo of Thor 1 and just see the Destroyer in like a cool MCU done right way. Maybe in
some of those like Celestials from the Eternals trailer look like them. And listen, that trailer came out. I don't think Clem or I could break that down. We don't know any fucking thing about the Eternals. I'm going to do my research literally as I'm doing this podcast. Check this out, everyone. I've got the official Jack Kirby, the Eternals, the complete collection. I'm going to do the research before the movie comes out. Looks like a good book, great artwork in there and stuff. But as of right now, I don't fucking know what I was watching. It looked cool though. Looked really cool.
That was my takeaway. My notes looked cool as shit. and what's his name? The dude from Silicon Valley. He's ripped.
Oh yeah, Kumail.
Yeah, exactly. Kumail. Then we have obviously our Game of Thrones thing, our dynamics with the. So I there's a lot of ways
Hayek, Angelina Jolie, bonk bonk,
bonk bonk. Exactly. I mean, where else are you getting these kind of breakdowns in the face right now, right? R.I.P. my dog, Agent Coulson, too, man. I miss that dude. I love that dude.
He was great.
It was great having him back. Hopefully just put him in all the what ifs.
His password being like Captain America 0704.
Hashtag Steve, I heart Steve, I heart Steve. And I was like, Robbie's identity just got stolen because those are all his passwords too. And exactly. And then what's his name? Nick Fury saying there was an idea. Like there was a couple cool little callbacks and stuff like that. So all in all, like, again, not a great episode. I also I kind of had no idea what was going on with Hank Pym because I still haven't watched the Ant-Man's Incompletion. And I'm like, wait, I thought Hope is alive in this shit. What the fuck? So I missed she got killed by the Winter Soldier and stuff like that. But again, it just felt like if I guess you can't really do it as a murder mystery if you start with that and then go all the way through. But it was like if they had started with that and then you see all the Avengers die, I think it would have been more of a what if than what the fuck just happened. So
I was glad that we got a hero being the murderer too. I was kind of afraid going in. I was like, I hope they don't go with an easy like Loki's the one that murdered someone, the Avengers or something, taking them out one by one. So when Loki came down, it was sort of a red herring of like, oh God, is this going to be like Loki's doing? And it was just like, no, I'm here to avenge my brother. I was like, all right, cool. We're still with it. And then seeing the fucking weird, like methed out Hank Pym, I was like, all right, this is fucking crazy. I'm in for it. Seeing him look like a villain.
It was very cool seeing Loki like with the Asgardians having his back instead of just being like, oh, this asshole did it again to us. Oh man, I just thought of a scenario where instead of our Loki coming down, it's Loki Gator and he's just fucking shit up. Let's get a what if there. Oh, the other thing that I loved, and I don't know this. I mean, I guess the listeners can let us know if it's happened every episode, but when they're driving in the desert and you see the Watcher watching,
I don't think that has happened every episode because my girlfriend was like, who's that? I was like, that's the fucking narrator. I don't think he's in the episode. I think it's just like he's watching all the time. And I think that's awesome.
Mr. Portnoy.
They should do that every episode. I don't know if they have either. I think I noticed it for the first time in this one, but it's just like a cool thing. Like he's always there. He's always watching. Like very cool. And I would even be down to like hide him in the shadows of like the live action movies, like have like two glowing eyes somewhere.
It's like the hidden Mickeys in Disney.
Exactly.
It's like it would be that kind of thing. And then if he's not, it's like what is it called? Mother May I or no what's the stupid game? Simon Says. It's like if you don't see the Watcher, it's going on. No, I'm saying it's like Simon Says, where it's like you don't know if it's a what if or not. If you see the Watcher, it's a what if. If you don't see the Watcher, it's not a what if. But if anyone's seen it in previous episodes, in episodes 1 or 2, where he's kind of in the background, I would love if that was in every episode. They're kind of hidden somewhere in there. I thought that was awesome.
I agree. All right. Before we get into our what if scenarios for this week, let's tell everyone about one of this weekend's biggest fights. I don't want to say this weekend's biggest because we do have Rough and Rowdy
Yep.
tonight if you're listening to this on release day on Friday. But the biggest pay per view, the biggest Showtime pay per view of the weekend, true professional boxing, is Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. Sunday, August 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can go to showtime.com/PPV to order it now. Dave and Big Cat are going to be on the broadcast. I think they're going to cut to them 4 to 6 times throughout the night. They're going to have the Barstool Sportsbook betting table. It's going to be in the arena, like a whole setup. Cut to them, tail of the tape. They're going to give their analysis, what they're betting on, their favorite picks. And I think that's worth the price of admission alone. Clem has always said, Dave maybe sold his soul to the devil to make sure Barstool could have all these magic moments. We might have another magic moment here. We might see a crazy Jake Paul knockout. We might see Jake Paul get knocked out. I don't know what's going to happen. I actually just talked to Stipe Miocic, a Cleveland native, and you can go check that out now on the My Mom's Basement YouTube. I asked him about Jake Paul. I said, "What do you think of this guy?" Because I know he's trained with him. I know he's been in the gym with him. I said, "Is he legit? Do you think he's a good fighter?" And he said, "Hell yeah, he's motivated." I saw Jake Paul come into the gym after a huge day of media and just listen to his coaches the whole time. He said that's the most important thing for a fighter. So it actually got me a little more hyped up for this fight, thinking I don't know what's going to happen. Barstool Sportsbook, as I mentioned, is the official sports betting partner of Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. It's officially live in New Jersey as well. If you live in Jersey like me, you can bet on this fight there. The main event, Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley. I can't wait. Go to rocketmortgagefieldhouse.com for tickets. And if you want to order the pay-per-view, again, it's showtime.com/PPV, or you can go to your normal satellite telco cable provider. It's $59.99 as well. Worth the price of admission just to see what Dave and Big Cat are going to say about the fights that aren't Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley, because I don't know if they're going to know what to say about any of those.
It's gonna be a lot of craziness, a lot of mispronounced names, and fucked up references by Dave, of course. And I mean, breaking news. I mean, granted, it's 2:00 on Thursday. I don't know if people will be listening to this, but your boy Ariel Helwani,
Yep.
He just tweeted, "Very ugly scene here. All hell has broken loose after a member of Paul's team got into it with Woodley's mom." So in addition
Woodley's mom is a saint in MMA too. Everyone loves Woodley's mom. She'll always like go up to his opponent's parents and be like, "It's okay, like we're all good." Like you can't mess with Mama Woodley. She's like a big figure in MMA.
No bueno, man. This guy says, of course, they did the nicest woman on earth, and they find a way to mess with her. People are not happy about this. Just going through the replies here. Woodley's mom is a saint. So I didn't realize we have apparently like the greatest mom on earth. We have Jake Paul.
Don't mess with Mama Woodley. Now I'm really Team Woodley.
I don't know much about Jake Paul or his team. I imagine they're not the greatest people on earth. So you have all that, Big Cat and Dave on the call. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be incredible no matter which way it is. And I'm not even going to try to guess what's going to happen because that's Barstool. Whatever you think is going to happen, it's 10 times more absurd in the end.
Man, Woodley's got to avenge Mama Woodley now. All right, we got some what ifs. The first of which from Michael J. Fats. He says, and this is about someone that you're a bit contentious with right now. So we'll see what your reaction is to it. He says, what if NJ Transit was competent on April 4th, 2017, and Frank made it to the stadium on time? Nothing was an issue. They had the balloons for opening day. What if NJ Transit was competent?
The world, it's that meme where everything is futuristic and just better. That's basically my internet presence right now. I built it tweeting me Frank was right nonstop, and it's gotten to the point where I had enough people do it more than once. If you tweet at me Frank was right, it's instant mute. I don't block. I'm not a blocker. Instant mute, and we will never be internet friends again. I'll tell you. We're worse off for it. I'm not going to lie. I love the man. This is the worst part about Frank was right. I went on his podcast last night, and Frank is like, when you get him away, I'm like, stop getting trolled by Dave. When Dave has his smirk at a 37-degree angle, that's when he's fucking with you, and he knows exactly what he's doing, Frank. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm just trying to get some more followers on Twitter.
Frank like a fiddle right now, just with the Frank is right stuff against you and KFC. He's just basically using Frank as like his infinity gauntlet against you guys.
He's our Trojan horse because I have nothing. It's all those Frank was right people. 90% of them are Yankees fans or like Dave diehards. It's not Mets fans who were saying is right, and no one else knows a fucking thing about this Mets season. Frank is wrong. Frank said they're going to win 92 games. Then he said they're going to win 40 games, and then he said they're going to be the worst team since '93 who won 59 games. They already have more than 59 wins. So the long story short is, I like think about this, a world without knowing like the R2D2 phone going off nonstop, dressing in the turkey hat, all the Frank the Tank challenges, all just gone from our lives. But I'm telling you, I think the Mets would probably be like, Will Ponds would still own the team. Everything would be worse in terms of Mets. Like, it would actually look like in Citi Field would look like the beginning of Endgame. It would just be deserted, except it would be an actual baseball team playing there. And the Will Ponds have just bottomed out on their luck, and our lives are worse because of it. And you know what? When we win that World Series in the next 5 years, Frank the Tank is going to apologize to me. He's going to apologize to me.
Listen, this next one I gotta put out right now and say I don't like it. I don't like the fact that I have to read it. It's about me. It's from Shane Lisa. It says, "What if Robbie was actually a Khabib superfan instead of McGregor?" And I'll say this: it would be a pretty good, like, life at Barstool in terms of everyone has the sports teams that win championships or the sports teams that cause them misery. And I feel like at this point, I'm starting to fall a little bit further into that second category than the first with my McGregor endeavors. I mean, I'm 1-4 with the guy. It's not great.
Is it that bad? Are you including the boxing match in that? Is that
I'm including the Mayweather thing. So I mean, he beat Cowboy, but I watched him lose to Mayweather. I watched him lose to Dustin Poirier twice, and I watched him lose to Khabib. The Khabib one being the worst of all of those, just because that one was the one where it was still like he might be on top of the world. He might be the best fighter in the world. He hasn't fought in years. The last fight was against Mayweather, so who knows? By the way, as we record this, it's August 26th. It was 4 years ago today that McGregor fought Mayweather. It's crazy that it's been 4 years already, but yeah. So if I was a Khabib superfan, imagine that, me in the Khabib hat at ringside, me going crazy when he jumped the cage against McGregor. I mean, my propaganda, I would be outside the courthouse, but not protesting for McGregor. I would be like, put him in jail. Imagine I had a sign and like that, like the champ doesn't do what the fuck he wants.
Kill him, put him in the chair. Yeah. I'll say this right now without a doubt in my mind. This podcast would not be a thing. We would not be partners. I'd be terrified of you because I'm just
imagine I had a Khabib beard.
Yeah,
like
you
Moses from The Office.
You have neck tattoos. You have like it's Russian on your neck too, and it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, I would not fuck with Bob Fox.
We watched Black Widow, and I'm like, I kind of liked the villain. Like, I don't know what she was going after.
Oh, it's like, hey, get all those girls, round all those widows back up. Let's get them back in line. We need to send them back to the red room.
I mean, that's Sky Base, pretty cool. Red room, pretty sick. They might be able to like create great fighters up there.
And you would also be you'd also be voting for a certain member of the dog walk, who I will not, expand on that propaganda. But there is one member who I think you'd be voting for every single week based on that history.
Yeah, well, listen, I am an Ed head. I'll say that. I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. This one is a wrestling what if, and I think it's a great one, very timely. It's from Murph. He says, "What if Cody, Kenny, and the Young Bucks went to the WWE in 2019? What if they never started AEW?" Now, Clem, I know this one you might not have much to add to because you're not super in touch to the wrestling landscape right now, but so much is different. I mean, who knows if CM Punk is even back? Who knows if Daniel Bryan is still in the company? Who knows if Daniel Bryan is retired? Who knows what the hell happens? I mean, Cody Rhodes might still be Stardust. The Young Bucks may be like whittling away in the mid-card tag team division with a stupid like comedy gimmick. And Kenny Omega would probably be one of these guys where we'd be like, oh my God, he had so much potential that went down the toilet because they strapped him with like a dancing gimmick.
Wow. So that's how AEW started, or is that what kind of blew him up?
So AEW started, the WWE was trying to hire the Young Bucks for years, and the Young Bucks were making so much money in the independents that they would turn them down. They got good contracts from Ring of Honor. They made a lot of good money in Japan. Kenny Omega mainly just wrestled in Japan, at least for the past 10 years, I want to say. Kenny is fluent in Japanese, and he would go over there and teach Japanese to English people, like when he wasn't wrestling. And Cody Rhodes was in the WWE, and funny enough, actually hit me up right before he left the WWE, and he was Stardust, which was a character that was like very silly. It was just a Goldust Muppet baby, basically. Jesus. And he hit me up and said, "I really want to be Cody Rhodes again. I would love for you to design some gear for me that I could show in a pitch to Vince and the higher ups as like, here's what Cody Rhodes would look like in 2019. So I did some gear for him. I did the designs. That's how my relationship with him started. He showed them the pitch. They were like, we would like you to be Stardust. And he asked for his release. He was like, I know, like, I want to be Cody Rhodes. I see different avenues for wrestling out here. He started his own thing with Cody, Kenny, and the Young Bucks. They put on one big show where they sold it out like a 10,000 seat arena in Chicago. And that got the attention of Tony Khan and his family, who owned the Jaguars,
Mm.
a huge, huge money source. It also got the attention of Chris Jericho, who had just left the WWE and started doing stuff in Japan, where they realized if we all got together, we can make something incredibly special here. With the Khan support, he got in touch with Turner. They're now on TNT. The television deal was huge for them. And, it's all history from there. CM Punk now back. Daniel Bryan about to be coming back. CM Punk teased it last night. He said, like, do you guys want to see me at All Out or whatever? Everyone goes, yes, 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 yes. He goes, no, no, no. That's someone else's shtick, and you're going to have to be patient for that one. So everyone went wild. It's basically confirmation that Bryan's on the way. And we got another wrestling war on our hands. So I think if Cody, Kenny, and the Bucks went to the WWE in 2019, the wrestling business would be worse off.
Yeah, no, again, it's about having the competition. Like the Monday Night
Yep.
Wars made everyone better, and kind of what we're hoping.
And
with
not only
DC
the
and
competition,
MCU.
but just the alternative. Just being able to be like,
Yeah,
here's one thing and here's a completely different thing that's not trying to be the WWE. Like having I feel the same way about superhero movies. Having all the Marvel movies is great, but I also want the occasional Suicide Squad to remind me like these things could get fucking insane.
I wonder how many different times Vince has like unknowingly clipped the wings off a rival that could have happened, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like he's probably done it a few times. With this one, finally, it's like he's like the he who remains. It's like yeah, he's just always fighting these things. Sooner or later, there's gonna be a timeline where it comes out and he has to then fight another person. So he's the Kang
And him
of
saying like
the
I'll be
wrestling.
back is really meaning like a McMahon will be back.
So that's a good one though. I like that one.
Here we have one from Skip Wheeler, another MCU one. This is the final one I have from listeners. So if you have one next, you can be the grand finale for us. He said, what if Rhodey didn't ruin Tony's hot streak at the craps table to start Iron Man 1? Does Iron Man even go to the weapons demo? Does he even get attacked? Does he ever become Iron Man? Does Don Cheadle even join the MCU? I think the answer to all those is no. I think if Rhodey doesn't ruin Tony's hot streak, he probably stays at that craps table all night, probably goes back with a couple ladies later that night, doesn't go to the weapons demo. He skips out on it, and he never even leaves America.
Nope. And he's just becomes filthy rich, does Tony Stark stuff, owns the Mets, but he becomes kind of like he buys the Mets, obviously, Queen's team, but it's like he's like almost like a Steinbrenner. He's not thinking right. And he needed to kind of become that Iron Man. So he put that brain to some really good use, right?
Yeah, Tony Stark had a lot of kinks that had to be worked out based on the situations he was put in.
Exactly. So yeah, and we have a whole different roadie, right?
Yeah.
We never change roadies too.
I really want them to go back and put Don Cheadle in Iron Man 1. I swear, if you're doing special edition Star Wars movies, if you're doing all this weird deep fake technology with Star Wars stuff, put Don Cheadle in Iron Man 1 so the universe is a little more linked together. Same thing with Mark Ruffalo in Incredible Hulk.
I wonder if they go to like an Iron Man 1 like era of a what if. Do they go with
who do
Cheadle,
they use? I was thinking that with the Hulk this time because I was like, we're in Ed Norton era Hulk, but this kind of looks like Ruffalo. It's obviously Ruffalo's voice. It's like I didn't know which way they were going to go with it.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. That was a good one too. My what if was what if Nick Fury decided to become a college basketball coach, and basically it's just Kentucky because like the dude is a great fucking recruiter,
right? Yeah.
What a job he did. He absolutely nailed it. Again, like they weren't undefeated, right? The Avengers were certainly not undefeated. They had their issues. There was a lot of drama behind the scenes that I don't know if a college basketball team could withstand, but it's like that's an NBA team's problem is 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road. College basketball, these kids are together 1 or 2 years. The guy fucking, and we all know what they did in Avengers 1. They came together when it mattered most. You'd be cutting down the nets in March. There'd be some losses that were ugly in, say, January and February. But come March, they're cutting down the nets. Hire Nick Fury. Hire Samuel Jackson as a coach, Sienna. I don't give a shit. Let's just do it there.
I would love that. Have you seen Samuel L. Jackson posting on Instagram the shirts that he wears like on set to Captain Marvel 2, Miss Marvels? He wears like Nick Fury shirts, like I'm back mother effers with like Mace Windu on it. Like he loves wearing shirts of his characters on it. It just warms my heart. And you mentioned Avengers 1 right there. It was on TV the other day and I just caught the ending, like probably 45 minutes of it. Such a goddamn good movie. The feeling that movie gives you at the end when all the Avengers like team up, they win. Loki opens his eyes, they're all standing over him. Clint's got the arrow in his face. That's just like brings me right back to 2012 being like, I can't believe they nailed it. They put 6 superheroes in a movie and it worked. Little would I know that years later in Infinity War, they would be like, oh, six? Ah, yeah, that's child's play. Here's 60. And I would be like, down for it. And multiverse, I'm going to be saying the same thing about Infinity War in 10 years. We're going to be like, we thought Infinity War was a lot of heroes.
They keep dialing it up, man. The most ambitious crossover yet, and it keeps getting nuts. Because again, when they do that kind of pan and they're at like by Grand Central and they're looking at all the different heroes, I'm like, man, I can't believe they pulled that off. And again, it is fucking child's play for what they did a few years later. And again, what they're capable of doing when the multiverse is all said and done. Oh boy, get excited in the basement.
I can't wait. All right. This has been a great episode of My Mom's Basement. I do want to give everyone a little bit of homework. Go check out the Star Wars Mandalorian Gallery on Disney Plus. I think it's a half an hour. It's basically a half an hour special on the Luke Skywalker cameo. I was under the impression it was going to be all about season 2. It's basically just about Luke showing up, but it is fucking awesome. They show you all the deep fake technology. They reveal that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni brought in Mark Hamill before season 1 of The Mandalorian even aired. They showed him episode 1. They were like, all right, so here's what we're doing. This is the baby. We want this baby's story arc, Grogu, to end with you putting him in your arms. Are you down? He was like, fuck yeah. So I texted that to Clem and I said, just knowing that the planning is out there for them to be like, here's what we want to do at the end of season 2 before season 1 aired, was just like so reassuring. Like, oh my God, we're planning things out in the Star Wars universe long term.
They have a whiteboard. They bought a whiteboard in the Star Wars side of the Disney headquarters. The markers are still very fresh. I'm sure they haven't used it all that much. It doesn't go across the entire room like the Marvel one does. But just having a whiteboard instead of just writing on a piece of paper and then scribbling it out like they did in the sequel trilogy, just feels like it's in such better hands. So that was like almost the most important set of news I could have gotten about Star Wars. Forget about any future movies, any TV shows, any plans, any actors who were involved, producers, directors. Just the fact that there was a plan that was years in advance before they had even known it was going to be a success. It just makes me feel so much better.
And the fact that they kept it under wraps, holy shit, for that long is crazy. Mark Hamill even says, he's like, guys, I kept the Empire secret for a year back in the 80s, but there's no social media back in the 80s. I don't know how you're going to do this. And the way they did it, they had Plo Koon written in the script. And it said like, Plo Koon is alive. This is crazy. He survived Order 66. And that is Dave Filoni's favorite Jedi, his favorite obscure Jedi. So he said people on the set just thought like, oh, Dave is bringing back his favorite Jedi. They had concept art made in the dailies. They had Plo Koon's face put over Luke Skywalker's, like the actor that played him. So they really went to all lengths, and I can't wait to see what they have up their sleeve for Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian season 3.
That's what got us in the basement really chopping it up all the time was Mando stuff. So yeah. I mean, it's kind of, I love how it's evolved back into the Marvel, but there's once those Sunday afternoon Patriots games are over, we'll be talking more Mando and Boba Fett down the road. So they get excited, and then there's gonna be a ton of Marvel stuff we're gonna have to be doing. Robbie Fox will literally have no other moment in his life to just breathe because of all the shit that they're gonna be pumping out. So exciting time to be a nerd in the basement.